Forward on this. Zoom has let you know I've started recording. Thank you again for joining us on your lunch hour. We're here today to talk about a new program that Local Color is able to offer, which is fiscal sponsorship. And we are titling it the Local Commons, with the goals of expanding access and fostering sustainability in our creative communities. And because today's conversation is about the commoning of resources, I would also like to take this moment to acknowledge that this work takes place on the traditional lands of the Muwekma, Ohlone, and Tamian people, and pay respect to both elders past and present. This recording will also be saved on our website, so if you have a friend that wasn't able to join, no worries. Feel free to just have them go to localcolorsj.org on the local commons page. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Joined here by some of my team members. Erin Salazar, Haley Cardamom, and Rebecca Lee. We were your main contacts for Local Color, and if you have any questions specifically about the Local Commons, feel free to send a message to me or hello@localcolorsj.org. Also wanted to give a moment of acknowledgement to our Commons Committee members, Julie Meridian and Jim Fonseca. They've been learning alongside us through this program since the beginning, and are both longstanding members with Local Color in our Creative Workspace program. Pardon, it seems that a slide has disappeared, or it just came in a different order than I was expecting. My apologies. We're all still getting used to Zoom after a year. But first, just what brings you to this lunch? Have you ever wanted to go for a grant? I'm actually going to just put a poll up. You're full welcome to respond in the poll or in the chat. Are you on this call because you wanted to apply for a grant and just didn't really know where to start? Or if you've been working on a project that you've been investing in yourself, or it's just the idea of resourcing what brought you by. So we'd love to know. Feel free to put your interests in the chat. And also would like to give acknowledgement to the work that we've done so far. We have 3 confirmed Commons members who have received their grants in this fiscal year. San Jose is Not for Sale, a documentary that is managed by Mike Cabana and a group of amazing technical locals. The Martha Street Quarantine, which is created by Jessica Gutierrez, edited by Jessica, and it's full of contributions from other local creatives. And SJ Shooters, which is going to be embarking on a new project led by Miguel Ozuna, documenting San Jose through the lens of people who are from the city and love the city. And currently we're working on a grant with Brandon Quintanilla of the Cultural Night Market and Jim and Alex from the Downtown Screen Printers. And we'll be having some open time at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to save those till the end and we can talk more about them. And that brings me to Social Impact Commons. So this work would not be possible without their training. Thaddeus and Asta are on the call with us today. Social Impact Commons is an incubator and shared resource provider for the fiscal sponsorship field, with the goal of growing and strengthening the work done in the realm of fiscal sponsorship. Is there any more that you would like to share about your work at this time?
I think that sums it up.
Thank you. So we started working with Social Impact Commons at the beginning of last year, joining a cohort of other Bay Area organizations, some that were already offering fiscal sponsorship, and some that were like us in the process of building up a new program. So what is fiscal sponsorship? That is what we're on the call to discuss. A fiscal sponsor or commons manager, which is an adopted term, is a nonprofit backbone organization that provides shared corporate structure, finance, HR, legal insurance, risk management, and other resources among multiple semi-autonomous missions. So that's kind of the broad terminology. So think of it as you're able to share a staff and board. So collaborating with a 501c3 that already has the experience of charitable law and some technical management that comes with charitable funds. We have the structures like a bank account, that 501c3 designation, some more systems and policies like having a CPA that we're working with, contracts that also leads into compliance in terms of tax reporting. Most often or legally, a individual or sole proprietor, collective or for-profit entity are not eligible for grants from governments or philanthropic sources like foundations. Those need to go through a 501c3 first. And I'll just go ahead and launch another poll here. So are you currently working with a DIY, people-powered and self-funded project? Please let us know if that's the category that you fall under or if you fall under something different. And one size does not fit all with fiscal sponsorship. You can find fiscal sponsors across many focus areas based on region, type of work, size of project, etc. And the same difference can be found in funders. Some funders specifically focus on the health field, while some funders specifically focus on arts. And that's the same for local color as well. We are aiming to support folks working in the creative community. And going through this process of building the program, we also created like kind of two separate scenarios. One we've called Little Sharkies. These are new and emerging individuals and collectives that might need more support getting started. You haven't really put a budget together before. Maybe this is your first time applying for a grant. So there's different structures and different needs that a Little Sharky may have versus our Blue Herons, which are established orgs, maybe someone who's looking to transition into a 501c3, or they already have a complex set of assets like bank accounts, trusts, assets that they have already and either unique systems and processes. And so transitioning and providing support to a Blue Heron versus a Little Sharky is going to be different. There's also multiple providers of fiscal sponsorship, even within the Bay Area. SB Creates provides fiscal sponsorship. There's Intersection for the Arts that's located more in the East Bay, and Praxis Project, which is a Bay Area cohort member. They focus on specifically social justice related work. So there is, when you're looking around, please have those discussions with your fiscal sponsors. But of course, we're here today to talk about local color. Fiscal sponsorship in action. So you're an IRS non-exempt individual or a group of individuals without a 501c3 status, and you want access to grants and donations. What we currently offer is this Model C form of support, which is a pre-approved grant fiscal sponsorship or pass-through model, providing this ability with fiscal sponsor support, usually limited to oversight and compliance. So that's a bit of a terminology, but really it's kind of a one-to-one pass-through model described here. So you have a funder who has money that is coming from either a foundation, government grant like the NEA, National Endowment for the Arts, a corporate gift or individual gift, but this individual wants the tax deductibility. So they go through a 501c3. That money physically goes to the 501c3 for the nonprofit to then distribute to what we're calling here our commons members or to that individual collective. Between the nonprofit and the project, that is in progress. There are shared agreements ensuring that this work is done with equal values. The Commons member sends the grant and donation request to the fiscal sponsor. Sometimes, you as a project, and this is what we're seeking to empower folks to do, is that you can seek out funding. If you know someone or you're aware of foundations in the area, if there is an opportunity that you are looking to apply for, speak with a fiscal sponsor to see if they would be able to support you in that request. Once those funds are received, we then re-grant those funds to the Commons member, and the Commons member then reports back. So this is a very simplified process. And in the agreements, the process is broken down in the way that makes it transparent for all. Commenting, and just to go back to what the local commons is more of a theology. So there's, like we said, there's multiple forms of fiscal sponsorship. What we want to do with the local commons is to provide additional resources. So not only do we want to help you receive funds, but once you have those funds, we want you to have the same resources that we have as a 501c3 to manage those appropriately. And by managing those funds correctly, it creates more trust within our funders. It creates more of a case study for what the need is to funders. So when one year they have $1 million to offer and broken up into multiple grants, if there's tons of applications, that shows that there's a larger need. And so they have to go back to their funders and say, okay, we'll need $2 million so we can provide more funds. But while we're managing those funds, there's other things that you need, like those CPAs, contracts, and just that, person to person skill sharing as well. And that's what we would seek to provide through commons management. And commenting is an adopted term that we've learned through this process, which we've adopted from social impact commons, and that has continued to be passed down.
Carmen, I think it would be worthwhile to just highlight some of the ways you are planning to incorporate commenting into your Model C practices, like a regular meetings and co-learning sessions, the opportunity to really truly collaborate with your Model C partners and members around fundraising opportunities, and really provide them support in creation of the grants. And some of the other insights, I think, from our vision, fiscal sponsorship is not only about what do you share, but also how do you share, right? So, and you have some really interesting approaches that you envisioned.
Absolutely, and that's why we wanted to have this call today. So far, our Commons members have been folks that we've already worked with in one vein or another in the creative community. So that has allowed us to continue this close relationship of working together. And by having this presentation today, we're just welcoming more people into the community so that we can continue to do that. So for example, with peer governance, when we were designing this program, we did it with the input of our members through that Commons Committee process, including Jim and Julie, because they're the people that we eventually want to serve. We want to know what their needs are. And in the grant writing process, we are, again, kind of focusing on emerging individuals. If you're an established group, we would love to work with you too, but we recognize there is a bit more of a growing process in the emerging field. And so with the grant writing process, we are nearly co-writing it for you. We are definitely empowering folks to speak about their work, because you know your work better than anyone else does. You know what the investments, you know what your challenges are, and what this funding could help you overcome those challenges. But because we do have a bit more experience in applying for grants on a regular basis, we are co-writing that process with you. reading through contracts together, including the Commons Agreement, as well as the contracts you receive from the funders, and really just creating a community of growth and sustainability, because the skills that we have to manage a 501c3 and these charitable funds, we are sharing directly with you. So there's no veil. And I think that is kind of the part of what the root of commenting is and how it's showing up in our program. And this goes back to our shared missions and values. So anyone that we are entering into this agreement with, there are certain risks because there is funding, and we'll have more sessions to go into details like that in the future. But Local Color has set up this mission statement. Local Color, the definition is the customs, manners of speech, dress, and other typical features of a place or period to contribute it to its particular character. And in art, it's the natural color of a thing in ordinary daylight, uninfluenced by the proximity of other colors. The staff and board of Local Color San Jose believe artists and creatives draw vital connections between people and place. Our commitment is to provide multifaceted opportunities for emerging and established artists by keeping creatives employed, engaged, and active in our communities. And we're devoted to providing equitable platforms and opportunities for all artists across race, age, ethnicity, neuro and physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, religion, geography, and culture. And as stewards of the commons, Local Color will support the many logistics surrounding funding for creative projects centered in the South Bay area. We do want to stay true to this regional focus in the beginning, just because we want to make sure that we are creating a strong foundation to grow this program. This is our first year, so this may change, but any changes will occur with transparency that we share in all of our other programs. And to be a part of Local Color is a progressive system. It doesn't happen in one way. You can become a part of Local Color through our creative services, connecting local artists with creative opportunities and advocating for equitable wages via Arch, which is a program that you can, or a form that you can sign up for so we can be aware of your art. You could be an artist in residence with us, joining us in our studio and creative co-working memberships, providing a home base for the artistic community. And now we're able to offer Model C Commons membership through the Local Commons, supporting ongoing or project-to-project sponsorship needs. So how do you get involved? You have an idea, which is always in abundance, but what's not always in abundance is that funding to support an idea, to get it from being DIY to another level where you can have a larger impact because you have more resources. Please, we invite you to inquire. Please go to localcolorsj.org to inquire through our Commons membership form, which we'll go over in just a moment. But we're looking to support resilient, passionate, artistic, and vibrant communities within San Jose and the South Bay area. If you feel like you align with our values of trust, transparency, connectivity, equity, then we would invite you to inquire. We try to make the process as quick as possible, but we do ask for about 2 to 3 weeks for a Commons committee to review your submissions. And then please apply. And if it's your first time, we will help you through the process. And we've actually kind of created an inquiry form that somewhat mirrors some of the grant applications that we have seen to help you get, just start the process of talking about your work. So who are you and who is your collective? What part of South Bay or San Jose is centered in the focus of your work? These, again, are questions, typically the very first questions that are asked on a grant, especially if it's a grant of regional focus. Please describe your current creative projects or projects in the work. What is your current need for a fiscal sponsor? How will the support and shared values of Local Color enhance your work? In addition to just being able to access that grant, are you interested in working with Local Color because you are an artist in seeking out community or seeking out other um, other economic opportunities or other team members that have shared values. That is the greater part of what Local Color can provide. And what are your plans for compensating yourself and your team members? I have the belief that we live within a capitalist society, and until that changes, then we don't have to worry about paying ourselves. But while we're still, within this capitalist system, while we all still have to afford the cost of living, our charitable, community-focused missions can still benefit us in that way, and providing just a fair cost of living. And your work should be compensated. The 40+ hours that you spend on social media sharing knowledge, or the emotional labor that you've put in to your work because it's in the social justice field, or an emotional art practice, all of that we believe should be compensated. And that is something that we need to put forth to funders as well. And often it is a question on applications of like, what are your needs for capacity? And I think a number one for DIY members is that like, hey, I've created this project and I've spent $3,000 of my own money. I'm not getting any money back for it because it's an event that's being put on for the community. But what if you could save that? What if you could compensate your time? Because this is work. And that also kind of lends to this idea of like folks who might be transitioning into a 501c3 themselves. As a 501c3, our 990s are public. Our information is totally out there and transparent for anyone to see. And I just don't, it's a shift that we are trying to start within the community, that it is okay to, your project deserves funding. You as an individual deserve fair compensation as well. And what is a difficult challenge you've experienced as an organizer, or how are you or have you overcome this? We've added this question in here just because we want to learn more about your experience. After the Google form is submitted, we will be having conversations with everyone, including Commons members, Commons committee members in that conversation as well. And this is just to gauge, where are you in your experience? Like, did you put on an event and it just didn't go well for X, Y, and Z, but now you're prepared for the next one? We want to make sure that any of these projects that are funded have the full capability and capacity to see them through. And this question just helps us get to know how we can be of help to you, but also just what your experiences have been so far as an organizer. And if we've gotten through this process and we're able to welcome you on board, we're able to provide these benefits to you. So you're partnering with Local Color, a 501c3 organization that's allowing you to be able to access grants. We offer Model C fiscal sponsorship, which is what we've kind of described in the previous slides, where your project income is 100% contributed from one single grant source and corresponds one-to-one to expenses in your project budget, and is then dispersed in scheduled payments. 8% of the contributed funds stay with Local Color to support our shared resources, such as the grant assistance that we're providing. We're actively researching ideal fits for projects committed to creativity and community. We offer professional support once the grant is received, including accounting resources, support during reporting to funders, connections with insurance providers, tax advisors, and legal counsel. And then of course, you're becoming a member of Local Color, which means you're a part of an ever-growing network of local creatives that are here to support your work. And we will become your ambassadors to your work as well, to increase your chances of sustainability in the funder realm, but then also just within our community, here in San Jose. Again, just want to highlight that we provide trustworthy accounting for all transparency. When funds are received to us, they are transferred into a physically separate bank account and then are able to be speedily dispersed through bill.com. We will be offering co-learning opportunities to learn skills for business sustainability. And these will be available to the community at large and curated by and be free to Commons members. In terms of marketing and fundraising, social media management, ads management, press release write-ups, fundraising, execution assistance, volunteer management, whatever your needs are, we share those same needs as a 501c3, and we will be working together to support them, as well as filling in the gaps. So I'm gonna just put one more poll up, and we would just like to know, is this you? Are you a translator or someone that can help facilitate accessibility? Are you a local manufacturer, a small business, a copyright consultant, photographer, video documentarians, event producers? All of these people exist within our community, and through the local commons, we're just trying to build those connections. We're a 501c3. We have the tax deductibility status that allows us to access certain grants. You are an autonomous organizer who wants the flexibility to focus on your mission, but maybe there's just a couple gaps that you need to fill. Grants being one, but also the people power being another. And we also offer restorative exit practices and renewable membership. So right now, we're only able to offer Model C management, but we do want to grow that into Model A, which just requires more connectivity in terms of like our bank accounts and like assets and employee status. So that will be a completely other talk because of the breadth of that conversation. But if for right now, if you worked with us as a Model C member for one round, the end date would technically be when those funds are completed. But if you want to apply for another opportunity, we make that really easy to continue that relationship. As well as if someone needed to step away, we make sure that there is no damage done to the project or the work. And with fiscal sponsorship, we as the sponsoring organization are equally accountable to your mission as you are in the eyes of the funder. So we make sure that throughout the process, there's just full transparency and understanding and mutual accountability. Okay, so that was a good amount of information. Again, for any questions that you may have after this call, this is my direct information. Our Instagram is here. We do try to respond in our DMs quite frequently. The slides will be available and the recording will be available for you to rewatch. And of course, if you have any questions specifically for the social impact commons or about commenting practices, Thaddeus and Asta's information are here as well. So I just want to quickly thank our sponsors for this work as well. The Kenneth Rainin Foundation, SV Creates, and Silicon Community Foundation are all funders who have supported this work and are making this work possible. But I'll go ahead and stop the share. And I believe Aaron was monitoring the chat. I do see some bubbles in here. Does anyone on the call have any questions at the moment? Feel free to unmute yourselves. Looks like we're a pretty small group.
We're very thorough.
Great.
Answer all questions.
Well, I see everyone on here. I will return these last hours of lunch back over to you all. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. We look forward to hearing about your projects and your work and potentially supporting them in the future.
I have a question before we hang up. Sorry I didn't speak up earlier.
Oh, that's okay.
If an individual had an idea and they weren't sure how to find to find the grant opportunity, could they reach out to Local Color as well to help?
Absolutely. Yes, especially if it's something in like the realm of arts, but even if it isn't, I think we would still want to be able to facilitate pointing you in the right direction. If we don't know the answer, we can ask someone that does. So if it's just about like, is this, type of event eligible for funding, then we can definitely help someone find that answer. And it helps us discover more funders as well. The more that we go through this, the more funding streams that we'll discover too.
I just want to say my name is Miguel. I run SJ Shooters. I'm one of the newer local common members. And Carmen is legendary. So if you get a chance to work with her, highly recommended. I know Aaron through email and Asta, I believe, through email, but Carmen is a legend. Highly recommend working with her wherever possible. She just helped us, SJ Shooters, get a grant through the Silicon Valley Foundation, and super excited for the work ahead. So just wanted to send that praise your way.
Thank you, Miguel. Yeah, we look really, because all of this work, it was already happening. So I guess I think, yeah, the local commons was created because of the recognition of the amazing work that was already happening in our community. And we just wanted to create a vehicle for these, makers like Miguel to have access to the type of funding support that they need to increase their impact. So I don't know, Miguel, if you wanted to share, since you're just on the call, a little bit more about Further Than the Lens.
Yeah. So we just got approved for a grant. We're to do a project called Further Than the Lens, which is going to focus on creating 7 editorials by utilizing photojournalists that are in our communities in 7 specific communities, subject matters, such as the AAPI community, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQIA+, COVID, life after COVID, street vendors, and Native Americans in San Jose. So we're going to do curated content that both experienced photojournalists and photojournalists that are in high school are going to be able to collaborate together to tell a story on what that looks like in our community. And the account I manage is SJ Shooters, which is an account that shares photos that other photographers take, but now we're going to be able to give photographers an opportunity, fund them to tell a story that's more than just a wedding or a maternity session or real estate, but how do we tell a story and put a face to these members within our community? So really quick Spark Notes version. If anyone has any questions, I'm welcome to connect offline on. But I, as a photographer and creator and member of the community, am definitely feel it's an opportunity for us to put a face to these to what our community looks like. So Further Than the Lens is literally telling the story and documenting the story of these people we're taking pictures of. When there's AAPI hate, it looks much different when you put a face to that person and a face within our community. And you amplify that to all our different subjects is definitely where we're at. So yeah.
Much appreciated.
Sorry, I'm in a county building, so I have to have my mask on right now.
Oh, thank you for taking lunch with us while you're also at work. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what is created and hearing the feedback too, the student involvement with that. Did anyone else that's on the call just like want to share an idea that they had or any other questions? Oh,
Hi, Carmen. It's
hi.
Emily. I had sort of a question that maybe other people would be interested in as well. So if you did already mention it, I'm sorry, but in the few times that I have gone through grant opportunities, funding for projects, oftentimes there's a lot of variations in the criteria for what they're looking for. And if there is one that say would be working for a project I wanted to do and I fall within that criteria, is there an additional set of criteria for working through local commons or anything like that? I guess I'm just curious because they can vary quite a bit sometimes.
Absolutely. So there is the process that we ask folks to go through is filling out this Commons member inquiry form. So in that question of like, what is your current need for a fiscal sponsor? That answer would to be that you've already found a grant that you feel you fit the criteria for. And we want to make sure that it's mission aligned work with us as well. So it's something that benefits the creative community. It's something that keeps artists engaged, employed, and active in our community. So if you feel that within your specific work that the mission that we've put forth matches the work that you're doing, then we would more than likely welcome the opportunity to fund your work. Or work with you as a fiscally sponsored project. The only time that we would may say no is if the grant is due tomorrow and you're asking us the day before because it doesn't allow us the time to like set up all the structures that we would like to set up. We may pass on that opportunity, but may circle back to you in the future. Or if we don't feel like the missions align, or if it's taking place out of the country or something like that. But in general, we are trying to make this a limited barrier experience.
Thank you. That's helpful. And I'm sure it would be also helpful for me and for other creatives to like get some feedback on those criteria and how we fit within them and within your mission as well. So thank you.
Absolutely. And so once this inquiry form is filled out, then we have a discussion with our Commons Committee members, which are currently Jim Fonseca and Julie Meridian. We've also received nominations from them as well. So we're still in the process and we're being very transparent with the members that are with us already, that we are learning together through this process. So the work that we do this year will shape next year and it'll continue being kind of a living organism that changes based on our needs, on our collective needs. And also I should point out too that not all grants require you to be a fiscal sponsor. Some grants you can apply for, like the Center for Cultural Innovation. They have like rolling quick grants for individuals, up to like 5,000, I believe. The Awesome Foundation, I saw Mike Cabana just got on the call. So that was a grant that they applied for separate from us because it didn't require. But some grants, you will see it in the eligibility that requires you to either be a 501c3 or to have a fiscal sponsor. So those are the situations where, definitely we're an option now. Thank you again, Miguel. Have a good rest of your day. Cool. Any other questions at the moment or thoughts or anything? Open to hearing it.
I'm just excited that this is something that could be an opportunity for a lot of people who maybe just didn't have the ability to do so before. So I'm thrilled to see how this all goes.
Thank you, Emily. And I hope that you all on the call and everyone who's a part of Local Color already will help us share this. If you're ever just in a conversation with someone and they're like, oh, I have this like super cool idea, but like, oh, if only I had $20,000, that's actually kind of possible. Don't write that off as a possibility. That is what this is here for. These funds are already prescripted to go to the community, and we're just trying to help them make that funnel just a little bit longer, so it goes to maybe the folks who weren't thinking of this before. Okay, well, I am someone that could probably talk forever. So I will go ahead and end our meeting here.